Hi, everyone. It is the 9th of April, 2026. Yeah, day after day after day. Here we are. Here we are. So I do want to say that starting tomorrow, I go back to Never Lose Truth. Well, I hope, unless YouTube has extended my punishment, but that's the plan. That is the plan. So, hello, Exile, the Knights of Malta. Yeah. Hi. Rage Against the Machine, Sandra and Chrissy and Demore. And we have MCC. Yeah. And that's it. Okay. It's, you have a severe weather warning in Oregon, Kansas, and Nebraska. Kansas and Nebraska, that alert just came about. So the reason why I went there was because I was really surprised not to see any alerts right here, Kansas and Nebraska, but in Oregon. All right, well, okay, yeah. You have some severe thunderstorms in Oregon, but what are we looking at? I a semicircle and the immediate creation of a whole lot of thunderstorm dots for Nebraska or Kansas, I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, what you gonna do? This is our world, right? Now, severe thunderstorms, Kansas in Republic County, and Jewel and Knuckles in Nebraska there as well, and Coos and Douglas in Oregon. All right, so all of the links are in the chat, and just be ready because more severe weather is apparently coming, and we're going to get 8 weeks of it. What? Well, first let me here. Strongest El Nino on record this year. It will bring wide-reaching weather impacts that last into 2027. No kidding. My God. Hi, El. I haven't seen you in a while. Oh, I hope you're doing okay. Jay Northrop, hi. Into 2027. So, I don't know if you're seeing mainstream media and these meteorologists that are posting about the super El Nino, and they're getting you ready. See, it's all natural, don't worry, and it's climate change as well, but it's coming, and well, we're apparently going to be getting 8 weeks back to back of severe weather. All right. Okay. This is max velocity. And this is how they're taking us out. These are not conventional weapons, but if only Americans would look into weather modification, geoengineering, what they are doing with the weather, causing an awful lot of destruction, not just in our country, but all over. Digna Ortiz, hi. Hi, Digna. So it is really, oh boy, I think we're going to see an awful lot, because this is one of the weapons that they're using in the war against Americans. Yeah, it is something that People shouldn't respond with, oh, she's off her meds. If you're an adult, why don't you take a look at weather modification and geoengineering? Here we go.
A multi-day severe weather outbreak is about to explode across the United States. An insane stretch of severe weather will begin over the next few days, as storms capable of producing damaging winds, very large hail, and tornadoes will begin to develop from Texas and Oklahoma into the plains and Midwest, as warm, unstable air surges northward. But these storms will get far more serious as we head into Sunday and Monday, as this pattern will reload again and again for nearly a week straight, bringing repeated rounds of severe weather.
I just now heard him clearly. I am very, very sorry. A week straight. I thought he said 8 weeks straight. Okay, I'm much happier, though. Are we looking at really a lot of destruction coming in all of these states? 8 weeks. I'm such an idiot. Okay.
Weather from the plains all the way to the East Coast. This could be the most dangerous severe weather stretch that we've had in over a year, so let's get right into the forecast. And guys, we have a lot to talk about in today's forecast. This might be the most packed severe weather forecast that we've had in over a year, because we have at least 7 straight days of severe weather coming, but I think we're going to be seeing severe weather for the next 2 to 3 weeks. It is going to be such an active pattern, and it all begins today across the Central Plains, where we do have a slight risk of severe weather in place for Kansas City, back towards Abilene, right along that Interstate 70 corridor up into southern Nebraska, where the biggest concern for today will be damaging winds and also large hail, but there is a low-end chance for a tornado. But this is all going to come down to the moisture later today, and if the dew points end up being high enough, we could end up seeing a tornado. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you're notified if we do go live for this. If we do end up seeing a tornado warning, wouldn't rule out a live stream. And then heading into Friday, the threat of severe weather is a little bit lower, but includes a lot more people, basically from Springfield, Missouri, back into Tulsa, Oklahoma City, even just to the north of Amarillo, where the main concern will be damaging winds and large hail. Wouldn't rule out an isolated tornado risk, but it's very low, and that would mainly be around Tulsa. And then as we head into Saturday, the threat of severe weather is going to start to really increase. This will be one of the first days where significant severe weather is going to be on the table for a lot of people. But I think Sunday, Monday, Tuesday are by far a lot more concerning. But at least for right now, Saturday will be the Kickstarter to this entire severe weather outbreak stretch, where we do have a slight risk for West Texas, marginal threat all the way up into Omaha, Nebraska, also including areas like Abilene, Texas, and just west of Oklahoma City. Greatest concerns for right now for Saturday are large hail and damaging winds during the afternoon and evening hours. There could be a low-end tornado threat, especially near Midland. And then as we get into Sunday, things are going to pick up a lot more. Now, the real story is going to be everything that comes after Friday and Saturday, as we are expecting a rapidly increasing risk of significant severe weather and the threat of widespread severe storms. So it all begins on Sunday, where we do have a slight risk of severe weather from Wichita, Kansas into Dallas, just east of Lubbock. We're mainly watching for more large hail and damaging winds. Low-level wind shear will begin to increase a little bit on Sunday, which could lead to a localized tornado threat. So definitely be staying alert here. You're over in the Southern Plains, likely going to be live here on Sunday. So make sure that you're following us here on YouTube and also our Facebook and Twitter pages at MaxVelocityWX for the latest updates. On Monday, the risk of severe weather is going to get a lot more widespread and could be potentially much more significant.
Okay, so the link is in the chat, and we're now going into Monday. So I will, if you don't happen to catch any of these videos, I will keep you up to date, because it's going to go east into Arkansas, so I'll be paying attention. That's for sure. And yeah, it will bring wide-reaching weather impacts that last into 2027. All right. And these winds, okay, these winds are not natural. It is not Mother Nature. This is winds created by electromagnetic frequencies. Yes, they can create wind. Storm Dave in the UK. I sure wish that people would just question, how is it that we're having hurricane winds all over the country, just kind of coming, out of the blue, with pretty much every storm all over the world. What's going on?
Storm Dave has hit the UK, leaving battered coastlines and road chaos. Planes were forced to land sideways, struggling with gusts of wind. Train and ferry services were disrupted, and roads were blocked by fallen trees. In Glasgow, the storm brought snow, adding to the sense of inclement weather. Winds reached 150 km per hour, 93 miles per hour in North Wales, posing a threat to transport and infrastructure. Gusts of up to 121 km per hour, 75 miles per hour, were recorded in Yorkshire and Cumbria, and up to 117 km per hour, 75 miles per hour in Aberdeenshire. Bridges in Scotland, including the Queensferry crossing, were closed to traffic. In Dublin, pilots encountered hazardous landing conditions and dozens of flights were cancelled. Passengers complained of disruptions and forced reroutes. The Met Office lifted its warnings, but warned of further heavy rainfall over Easter. Heavy rain and colder temperatures are expected in northern regions. In other regions, temperatures remain close to the early April norm. The yellow and orange alerts were lifted on Sunday morning. Forecasters note that the winds died down faster than predicted.
Alrighty then. Oh my God, these winds and fires. Okay, so fire breaks out at Rio de Janeiro's Olympic Park Velodrome in Brazil. What? Come on. Is this part of the FIFA? I don't know if they were going to be playing in this stadium, but this fire is intense. Yeah. Just like, it's rare now that we just get a rainy day. It's rare now that we actually have, small fires. And crews battle triple-decker fire in East Providence. This is in Rhode Island.
East Providence crews rushed to this home in Rumford just over an hour ago for a triple-decker fire. Let's get right out to Erica Ritchie. So what can you tell us right now, Erica?
Yeah, Kate, good noontime to you. This was an all-hands-on-deck response from the East Providence Fire Department, and within the last few minutes, they just got that fire under control. Take a look right behind me, the gray house with the black shutters with the ladders up against it. That was the one, number 294 Pleasant Street, that has been on fire for the last hour or so. Let's go ahead and show you the video that we shot when we first arrived on scene, and you can see quite the difference what firefighters were facing when they first arrived here. The smoke was just filling the air, so much so that it could be seen from as far away as Route 44, more than a half a mile away. Our camera is catching some flames continuing to emerge from the roof line as the firefighters worked tirelessly to get those flames under control, eventually knocked down, and the smoke would dissipate as well as we're...
More people displaced. We have an awful lot of people who are displaced. I want to thank my subscriber for sending this along. Oh, this world of ours.
I swear to God, we're surrounded by brain unalived mother fornicators. The very fact that I needed to use those words instead of what I really wanted to say proves the point. Now watch this.
You don't have to bring anything on a truck. You just hit a button and you can get some light from space. And it's not very expensive. It's a couple $1,000s an hour and that's about it. And you can use it for as long as you want. Each one of these little satellites is reflecting sunlight to a customer around the world. And I'm going to share a little bit more about who those customers are and how you can get this sunlight. We want to make it as easy as possible for people. So you can imagine using an app and bringing sunlight over to your exact location, wherever you are, in under 30 seconds at the touch of a button. All we have to do is rotate satellites and reflect the sunlight that's passing by us in space.
Oh, God. All right. I want to find where this video came from. Yeah, it's okay. And it's very cheap, just costs, a couple of $1,000 for an hour. Really? That's cheap? Trump drops nuclear bombshell. The entire financial system is going on chain. Okay. Yeah, it's coming. I think it's coming a lot sooner than we want, but it's coming. Oh. Let me get here. Let's see. Here we go.
Many Americans are unaware that behind the scenes, the technical backbone of the financial system is decades out of date, many, many years out of date. You know that Paul and others are straightening it out, but payments and money transfers are costly and take days or even weeks to clear. Under this bill, the entire ancient system will be eligible for a 21st century upgrade using the state-of-the-art crypto technology. Who would have thought we would have been saying that 2 years after many Americans are unaware?
So a whole lot on the red team were saying, well, look at what he did. He's not going to allow CBDCs. He's getting rid of the digital currency. No, he's not. That was my response. No, he is not. And in fact, it may very well be stable coins. And guess what? He'll make a fortune. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Well, let's listen to the Solari report, Catherine Austin Fitts. And let me knock myself off.
The financial system in stocks and bonds, you got 250 trillion, you got trillions more in currency, you've got derivatives. They're planning on taking everything and shifting it onto distributed ledgers for total central control. And the whole thing is so nuts. But here's what's scary. What's scary is, they're clearly talking about this. I've tried to figure out operationally exactly how this is supposed to work, and I can't. Everything they present is conceptual. I can't find any details on the mechanics of exactly how this is supposed to work. And it's pretty scary. Because when you listen to people over in this, the world that they're planning on building, Coinbase is saying they're going to trade 24/7. So the stock markets are now going to be 24/7. There's no break. And they're all going to be global. There's no break, 24/7. Are you ready for this? Coinbase is offering 20 times margin. Right. So imagine if you take all financial, currencies, stocks and bonds, everything else, you create a twin on distributed ledger. And then you trade that twin 24/7 with 20 times margin.
Holy cow.
So we're talking about a tsunami.
Yes.
The likes of which the world has never, ever seen. And they can't imagine it. And the challenge I am thinking about a lot is how can I communicate to to people? Because we're talking about a tsunami that's designed to wreck and, it's the flood. This is Noah and the flood, okay?
This is 1929 and all the holding companies on steroids.
This is much, much worse.
It's magnitudes
This is
of
much
order.
worse. Because if you look at what I can see of the law so far and the regulations so far,
yes,
they're not subject to standard disclosure or market laws. This is going to be the robber barons.
Yeah, this is the robber barons let loose to do what they plunder and pillage at will.
but it's, from a disclosure standpoint, it's FASB 56 does everything.
And at the end of the day, Catherine, they might take all their plunder and the world gets hit with a coronal mass ejection and all records of all those transactions are wiped out.
Exactly.
That's
You're talking
nuts.
Of course it's nuts. You're talking about a system that has absolutely no integrity. It has no integrity in the governance. It has no integrity in the law and regulation. It has no integrity. There's no culture to support it. So the most important thing in any financial system is the question, who enforces? And traditionally, if you have successful enforcement, it comes from excellence in the governance system and excellence in the culture. We have neither.
Yeah, they're returning us to brute force. That's going to be the only enforcement
Can I tell you
that
something?
possible.
You know those machines that blow bubbles?
Yes.
Right. You're talking about a 24/7 digital token
Bubble blower.
Yeah, it's the bubble blowers.
It's Lawrence Welk.
Here comes the intergalactic bubble blower.
Unreal.
Right. And
Link is in the chat if you want to listen to the last minute. Well, how anybody could think that Trump is concerned about our national interests. He's only concerned about himself, and he will do anything at all, certainly to make money. He's part of the elite. He's part of that club, and we ain't in it. And we're going to get so screwed. I mean, already we're so screwed. But try to imagine, screwed on steroids. And, Canada. Yeah. All right. No different. And I see so many people posting videos saying, well, I'm thinking of moving to Canada and I want to just, scream into the screen so that they could hear me. No, you're just moving to, another location, but it's essentially the United States. God, why do people they got to look into what's happening in Canada?
When Casey Hickey and her husband found this 3-acre farm in Ladysmith, the mom of 2 thought her dreams had come true, to raise animals that could feed her family and offer horseback riding lessons to help pay the bills. But now, proposed changes to zoning in the Cowichan Valley Regional District that would dramatically restrict use without community consultation is threatening her family's future here.
It's scary. It's scary and it's really upsetting.
The proposed changes under the CVRD's comprehensive zoning bylaw would alter rural zoning in many areas. So her property on the outskirts of Ladysmith would not be allowed more than 6 backyard chickens.
We wouldn't be able to have enough chickens to feed my kids breakfast.
No roosters, no bees for pollination, or riding lessons or boarding of horses.
We moved here with such big dreams and such big goals, and to be told you can't do this and this and this and this, it stops everything. Wake up, Gordy. Oh, Gord.
Cobble Hill's Kirsten Witt runs a small farm and equestrian facility that would not be allowed under the proposed zoning changes.
I just think it's really unfair, and it makes me upset because the kids can't come anymore.
So she organized a group of neighbors against the plan on Saturday, and by Sunday, it had reached 2,000 members.
There's a lot of people exactly like me that are thinking, what are we going to do? How are we going to pay our bills if we can't board a couple horses, if we can't have some chickens, if we can't sheep, goats?
They were shocked. And understandably so.
Ian Morrison is the Area F Director for the Cowichan Valley Regional District and says he is being flooded with messages from worried landowners who want to stop this plan before the changes are passed.
People don't want to see a lot of government in their affairs, and I've been standing up, I've been raising these issues with my colleagues, and nobody should be surprised that this level of outrage is happening now.
So Morrison is urging landowners to share their views and attend upcoming CVRD meetings, since there's still time to reshape the zoning changes that will affect the future of farming in the Cowichan Valley.
How do they do this to rural Canada? Well, it's about control, rezoning. Maybe they want to put up some data centers in there. But this is so outrageous. You have people living their lives, and suddenly the government is telling you you cannot live the way that you've been living. This is really horrendous. Wow. Well, so is this. Bible stories would be part of a new Texas public schools reading list. Yeah, it's drawing attention. Biblical stories like Jonah and the whale would be required reading for Texas public school students. Required under proposals that are putting the state at the center of another contentious wrangling. Yeah, so they've been arguing and debating in their state education board meetings. Trump has pledged to protect and expand religious expression in public schools. But why is that expression Christian? It's only Christian. Texas became the first state to allow chaplains in 2023. Just last year, a Republican-led mandate that the Ten Commandments be displayed in public schools took effect, although around 24 districts took them down because of lawsuit. God, stop it. First of all, Constitution, all right, separation of church and state, but the forcing of one religion upon everyone, this has got to stop. This creates division. It creates a lot of anger, and it shouldn't be happening. So our children need truth. Truth, sorry, a whole lot. Beg to differ that that's truth. Sorry, I know that offends, but yeah. Nathan Irving, a pastor and father of 8 from Myrtle Springs, Texas. Truth is the only currency that never devalues. Investing truth into our children is the most loving thing that we can do for them. This is the truth. This is indoctrination. This is proselytizing to children. And could there be some non-Christian students? Yeah. The country and this state were founded upon a Christian view. Like it or not, it is true. Well, like it or not, the founders who founded this country actually put into the Constitution, separation of church and state. Why? Because they were fleeing European countries to get away from the religious authoritarians. This list is a tool of proselytization that has no place in our public schools. This is a rabbi, Josh Fixler, a Reformed synagogue in Houston. There is a difference between teaching about religion and teaching religion, and this list will force teachers to cross that line. Megan Boyden, a mother of 3 from Denton, Texas, described it as a direct attack on her private faith. As a Christian mother, it is my right and responsibility to teach our family's religion. It is not the state's job. Thank God there are Christians out there that actually, have critical thinking. It is not the state's job to shed through the lens of a teacher who may not share the same beliefs I do. And you Christians have a lot of different beliefs. You have your own interpretations of the Bible. It just causes a lot of mess. Will Bible passages be taught in conflict with my beliefs? What of non-Christian students? Thank you. It's not cool. It's so outrageously wrong to do this. And Alabama schools could be required to allow student-led prayers if voters approve the amendment. Well, Alabama has a lot of Christians. Will they approve it? Probably. Probably. But you're required to allow student-led prayers. Where, what's the details? But this should not be happening. Okay? Well, you know, a whole lot of these schools, first of all, the lunches that they give their students, it's just poison. It's horrible. It's like they're in a prison. Have you seen the school lunches? They have no money to help the students. They have no money to help the parents, but they're forcing Christianity, which is all about helping those in need. But we're not going to go there, right? Yeah, and we have just force your religion upon others. And what about all of the people in need?
$18.67. Yeah, for one building.
The rising cost of utilities definitely does have some effect on the reason we're going to just under one roof.
After we went through our first year, we looked at the electric bill, we looked at the rent,
the sky.
we realized,
I hear you saying you looked at this, you looked at that, but you're not looking at the sky.
first year, we looked at the electric bill, we looked at the rent, we realized we were not going to make enough money. So we had to raise the rent. And that was what started a lot of the rift with the West Virginians, that we were going to have to raise the rent when they'd had camping the same way for so many years.
I think that this is low, so I'm going to boost it, but I got to then turn it down because it might be too loud.
You're getting $1,300 to $1,500 bills for electric. And West Virginia has decided that they're going to run on coal for at least 2040. You don't have a choice when it comes to electric and water. And so, you can't decide to just not have electric for that month. We're seeing businesses lock up, businesses are closing.
I try to stay so positive and look towards the future, and bigger plans, but sometimes it's just so sad, walking down there seeing it.
From here down was counters. I had an ice cream freezer, and then I had my bakery cakes.
I was getting ready. Like I had a bunch of stuff made up and everything, and was getting ready for Valentine's Day, because holidays were $700 to $1,000 days. So I would have had the money if I could have just got 2 days, just 2 days. We closed down on the 12th. The electric being so high made me struggle on pretty much everything else. Once I got behind, it was like I could not dig out of that hole. And every time I would pay a big lump sum, then the next bill would come in and it would be even higher. We're in the Antique Mall, Ravenswood Antique Mall. And
all right, the link is in the chat. You can watch the next half. Americans all over are really, really struggling, except for those who are still comfortable, and a whole lot in these affluent areas. But West Virginia, well, what did Trump say? Didn't Trump say, we were going to be drilling, and digging for the coal, right? Well, he hasn't done a flippin' thing.
The inflation crisis was caused by massive overspending and escalating energy prices, and That is why today I will also declare a national energy emergency. We will drill, baby, drill.
I find it fascinating that, they go and they give him a trophy saying he's the friend of a coal miner. Our coal miners are dying of black lung. They don't have clean water. They can't feed their children. Their schools are closing. Their electric bills are through the roof, and they can't afford groceries. Where's the trophy for us?
We are energy rich. I mean, they come through, tore up our land. We kept hearing, we're going to, the coal mines, the coal mines, the coal mines. I love the current administration, but
you should not love the current administration. The current administration is destroying you. Why? Well, this is the mentality of Americans that I just do not understand, will never understand. You have this chronic liar who destroys you, but you still love the current administration. So many are really struggling now. It's so scary.
An indicator. I'll start. For me, I have been getting a tattoo every year for my birthday since I turned 18. I turned 26 in a few weeks, and this is the first year I simply cannot afford to spare $300 for a tattoo. So.
This economy is just going to make us all car mechanics, ain't it? we all going to be so good at working on cars by the time everything come back around, aren't we?
Because there are no jobs out there.
I'm gonna keep it a whole beam with y'all right now. I don't know how a lot of y'all surviving. Like, the cost of everything right now, I really feel bad for the younger generation, because I can remember I could survive off $120 from one Friday all the way to the next Friday. Literally, I made that shit work. Don't ask me how I did that shit, but I did that shit. The cost of shit now, the people we got that are sitting in Washington, D.C., they gonna have y'all in a situation to where it ain't gonna be no catching up. It ain't gonna be, all right, yeah. Even if this shit gets back to normal, just say it even gets back to normal, when it gets back to normal, the cost of everything is gonna be so much more high to where even at that stage, you still won't be able to afford a house, a car, just the basic shit that you should be able to accept or be able to have. And then, like, I get why people are leaving the U.S. I get why American citizens are leaving the U.S. because it is a lot cheaper to go elsewhere and to have an actual life. That should not be, it should not be an option just to have the basics, to have a car, to have a job, to have a house, to be able to afford an apartment. These are the basic fundamental shit that America really was built on, the American dream. But right now, man, I don't know what this is, because it ain't no dream. It ain't no dream, it's a struggle. So I really feel bad for like the younger generation, because it's like you're not giving them a chance to like at least have like a decent living life. Just a decent living life. So like, I don't know, man. Y'all let me put in the comments, like, how are y'all surviving? Because I'll be honest with you, I have a job and I have it pays very well, but I don't know how the younger people are surviving. I just don't. Unless like you living with your parents, and a lot of young folks, they don't want to live with their parents, and I get it. But I really want to know, just in the comments, like, how are y'all surviving? Because like, I am very much intrigued. Like, I thought the Bush time was crazy, because I came out of college then with the Great Recession, and that shit was tough. It took me like 8 months to find a job. But this shit right here, where I'm seeing people like year, 2 years to find a fucking job, and even getting the climb from like a part-time jobs that are like overqualified for that shit. I really want to know, how are y'all surviving? Real spiel. Like, I just want to know. I don't know. I just don't know how people are surviving right now.
I know. Everyone's having a fucking hard time lifing right now. Oh, I can't stand this shit. It's never fucking ending. Never fucking ending. God. I'm just sitting here trying to make money doing DoorDash and Uber. I've And I'm behind on every fucking thing. I'm 56 years old and I don't get behind. I pay my freaking bills. And this fucking year, this past year has been so damn hard. And now I'm sitting here at McDonald's with a fucking new car. Well, it's about 6 months old. I put quite a few thousand miles on it because of doing DoorDash and Uber. Because I can't get hired on anywhere. I've been everywhere looking for a damn job. And all the young people get me beat out on that shit, so I have to resort to doing something. So I work every day doing DoorDash and Uber and Amazon Flex. And my car now it's broke down. It's running, but it says the AC off due to high temperature. This is the second time this has happened. And I just paid $300 and something for my insurance yesterday. I have to pay more of my rent today because I'm behind on that. I have my fucking car payment on Friday. I don't fucking make enough money doing this shit out here. I've been trying to sell my damn trailer for 6 months. I just lowered it from 3,000 to 2,000 today. I just have to get ahead. I gotta get out of this fucking shit that I'm in. I've never been so unhappy. It's so fucking miserable. I can't deal with these. I just can't deal right now.
That's tough. And I genuinely emphasize with her situation. At 56, she's forced to rely on DoorDash, Amazon Flex, and Uber as her primary source of income. And that's already a significant challenge in itself.
And one of the reasons why it's a challenge is because less and less are buying things and relying on DoorDash, and because they don't have money. And guess what? This is what evil people do. This is what evil people do to people who are just wanting to do, life right, and they get screwed. This is not okay. It is not okay. Communities have to band together, have to organize something, because once you get in the hole, it was decades ago, you get in the hole, but you can climb out because opportunity was out there. Not anymore. So we're seeing our fellow Americans really suffering like we have never seen before. Suffering like we have never seen before. They're alone. And this is not the way life should be. We need to change. And a lot of good clips in here. So the link is in the chat. But somebody wrote, it's hard to watch. Yeah, it was. It was. Now, red states are pausing their gas taxes to blunt the impact of Trump's Iran war. This is not, and they're all applauding themselves, the governors. Yay, I'm so great, helping you out. They need a lot more help. Indiana Governor Mike Brune announced Wednesday that he would temporarily suspend his state's gas tax, making it the latest red state to take action to lower prices at the pump after oil costs skyrocketed amid this excursion in Iran. I am declaring a gas tax holiday to give Hoosiers relief from the pain of the high gas prices. Affordability is my top priority. Gas prices in Indiana hit $4.14 on average today or yesterday. He said his emergency declaration to suspend 7% usage tax on fuel. There should not be a tax, but hey, that's a whole nother discussion, but it's only for 30 days. This is going to be lasting. It's going to be lasting a whole long time. Hardworking Georgians, Governor Kemp, knows best how to spend their money, not the government. That's why I'm proud to sign these bills and, along with the General Assembly, deliver meaningful tax relief on top of the other measures we've taken in recent years. Because we budget conservatively, we can take steps like these that actually deliver on affordability issues for families in our state. Kemp, I think it was Georgia, Governor Kemp, the first state that said, oh, you guys using those pesticides and herbicides and everything, you have no liability, not in the state of Georgia. So you're going to poison Georgians, but you're going to say, oh, wow, the tax, just tax on gas. And aren't I great? Utah, reduce the state's gas tax by 6 cents. Oh, wow. Lowering it from 38 cents a gallon. That's, highway robbery. So now it's 32 cents per gallon. They make a flippin' fortune off of just the gas tax. Where does that money go? Utah is choosing an abundance mindset, Governor Spencer Cox said. That means we don't wait for problems to hit families. I'm sorry, but I would venture to say that an awful lot of families in Utah have a whole lot of financial problems. And when you think of these governors, especially Governor Kemp, who is World Economic Forum guy, they're doing so much to destroy the residents in these states. Oh my God. I may come back to this, but it's another Jonathan Whitehead commentary. America Last, War Abroad, Tyranny at Home, and the Theft of a Nation. Very good article. I hope you click on the link and read it, because, absolutely nothing good is happening in our fabulous US of A. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare, Medicaid, Medicare. Okay. We have to take care of one thing, military protection. That's what Trump said. What did Eisenhower say? Every gun that is made, every warship launched, every rocket fired signifies, in the final sense, a theft from those who hunger and are not fed, those who are cold and are not clothed. Every war waged in the name of security is paid for by Americans who go without affordable health care, without stable housing, without a government that prioritizes their well-being. And it couldn't be more obvious. Trillions of dollars, endless wars, military expansion, Americans left paying the price, not just in dollars, but a loss of freedom, eroded constitutional protections. This is not national defense. This is organized theft. What are we doing? My God. And again, this is where it's all going. So I don't know whose video it was, but it was like, well, when people wake up to certain things or learn about certain things that others have learned years ago, it's kind of it's a little frustrating to listen to them because they present it as, you know, they're brilliant. They found this. No. I would say no one is brilliant, and we're all working off other people, their information, what they found, and yada, yada, yada. But the endless wars, if you read the documents, you know, certainly the, what was it? I don't like my brain anymore. It's hard to have a brain that you don't like, but I don't like it. So, yeah. But the endless wars, they were written about. Our military has gamed scenarios of these endless wars, you know, that we would be fighting wars all over, and that's exactly what has transpired. So I just want, oh God, where is it? Project for a New American Century. I kept thinking PNAC. Project for a New American Century. You know, if you just read this, well, I couldn't find the actual document. So, sounds innocuous? No. Who could object to a project for a New American Century? What could possibly go wrong? 1997, but this was all about fighting an awful lot of different wars at this simultaneously. All right, so, but war here, that's what people need to really be concerned about, for sure, right? If you think that this is not coming, it's coming. This was Megacities, Urban Future, the Emerging Complexity, Army, and the Pentagon's Joint Special Operations University. This was a training video for our military that the Intercept was able, with a FOIA request, was able to, you know, receive.
The future is urban. By 2030, urban areas are expected to grow by 1.4 billion, with that growth occurring almost entirely in the developing world. Cities will account for 60% of the world's population and 70% of the world's GDP. The urban environment will be the locus where drivers of instability will converge. It is the domain that by the year 2030, 60% of urban dwellers will be under the age of 18. The cities that grow the fastest will be the most challenged as resources become constrained and illicit networks fill the gap left by overextended and undercapitalized governments. The risk of natural disasters compounded by geography, climate changes, unregulated growth, and substandard infrastructure intersect to frustrate humanitarian relief. Growth will magnify the increasing separation between rich and poor. Religious and ethnic tensions will be a defining element in the social landscape. Stagnation will coexist with unprecedented development as impoverishment, slums, and shantytowns rapidly expand alongside modern high-rises, technological advances, and ever-increasing levels of prosperity. This is the world of our future. It is one we are not prepared to effectively operate within, and it is unavoidable. Megacities are complex systems where people and structures are compressed together in ways that defy both our understanding of city planning and military doctrine. It is an ecosystem that demands a highly agile and adaptive force to successfully operate within. Infrastructures will vary radically, with concentrations of high-tech transportation, globally connected air and seaports, contemporary water, utilities, and waste disposal intermixed with open landfills, overburdened sewers, polluted water, and makeshift power grids. Living habitats will extend from the high-rise to the ground-level cottage to subterranean labyrinths, each defined by its own social code and rule of law. Social structures will be equally challenged, if not dysfunctional, as historic ways of life clash with modern living, ethnic and racial differences are forced to live together, and criminal networks offer opportunity for the growing mass of unemployed. This becomes the nervous system of non-nation state, unaligned individuals and organizations that live and work in the shadows of national rule. Where physical domains can be seen, digital domains will have limitless potential to breed and expand without limit. Digital security and trade will be increasingly threatened by sophisticated illicit economies and decentralized syndicates of crime to give adversaries global reach at an unprecedented level. This will add to the complexities of human targeting, as a proportionally smaller number of adversaries intermingle with a larger and increasing number of citizens. The scale and density of these domains is daunting. In a city of 10 million, where you hold the support of 99% of the population, the remaining 1% represents a threat of 100,000. It is an environment of convergence, hidden amongst the enormous scale and complexity of the megacity. These are the future breeding grounds, incubators, and launching pads for adversaries and hybrid threats. Linked globally, these are man-made labyrinths that provide refuge and movement across the vast sections of these cities where alternate forms of governance have taken control. The advice of doctrine, from Sun Tzu to current field manuals, has provided two fundamental options. Avoid the cities, or establish a cordon to either wait out the adversary or drain the swamp of non-combatants and engage the remaining adversaries in high-intensity conflict within. Even our counterinsurgency doctrine, honed in the cities of Iraq and the mountains of Afghanistan, is inadequate to address the sheer scale of population in the future urban reality. From the streets of Aachen to the Citadel and Way, we have defeated adversaries who attempted to use urban terrain to their advantage. Urban conflict is written deep into the Army's histories. But in tomorrow's conflict, these megacities are orders of magnitude greater in complexity, and our current options do not meet strategic ends. Our future operations must allow us to rapidly return the city to the people. They will be too large and complex to isolate or cordon in their entirety. Yet our soldiers will have to operate within these ecosystems with minimal disruption and flow. Our current and past strategies can no longer hold. We are facing environments that the masters of war never foresaw. We are facing a threat that requires us to redefine doctrine and the force in radically new and different ways. The future Army will confront a highly sophisticated urban-centric threat that will require that urban operations become the core requirement for the future land force. The threat is clear. Our direction remains to be defined. The future is urban.
So they showed an awful lot of environments that one could say it's definitely not the United States. It will definitely never happen to the United. No, it will. It will. It already is happening. And yeah, this future is, well, nobody could have ever thought that we would get. No, they're manifesting it deliberately. And yeah. Yeah, so reading this, I was just thinking about that. Every war waged in the name of security is paid for. Americans struggle with rising costs of everything. It's not America first, obviously. If anything, it is becoming painfully clear that Trump's America first approach to governing puts America last every time. Instead, the government is cutting back on programs that make Americans healthier, smarter, and more secure, while the president builds monuments to himself and indulges in a taxpayer-funded lifestyle of staggering excess. And what is truly absolutely amazing to me is that it's obvious. It's obvious. We are not even on their radar. Trump, the corruption in that guy, the presidency, once he got back in, he has made a fortune. His family has made a fortune off of being the president. That should piss everybody off. But, it truly is amazing to me how just mentally, emotionally, spiritually dead are Americans. And I just wanted to, I took off all of the animal videos because I had just way too much, but tomorrow. But anyway, that little dog that I showed in a video that was stolen by this kid and his mother, which is remarkable in itself. To see that, they got the dog back.
We have some good news. After a heartless crime on Easter, a New Jersey family's dog was stolen right off their porch in Clifton. They know that Rocky was stolen because a surveillance camera caught this, a woman and a child using a sheet to kidnap him. Well, good news, he's been found. But the big question now, why did it happen? Here's News 4's Adam Harding.
We were there Wednesday as Clifton police returned Rocky the dog, the tiny pup missing for days, finally found.
How does it feel to be holding Rocky right now?
Oh, great. So such a great feeling like that we recovered him and he's going to go back home.
Rocky's sudden disappearance making headlines after this shocking home surveillance video from Easter Sunday. The 6-year-old Yorkie Shih Tzu mix was out playing in his yard when a child could be seen wandering onto the property holding a blanket. Within seconds, an adult woman gets out of a nearby car and runs toward the dog. Moments later, they run back to the car. The family couldn't believe it.
As a parent, that was really disturbing. I mean, if the child, wasn't able to get the dog, the mom should have said, okay, let's just leave it. It's safe, it's fine.
No, the mom, even if the kid said, ooh, let's get that dog, the mom should have said, absolutely not. But parenting in our country has always been just obscene. London is very angry, blocking roads around the Israeli embassy in protest against attacks on Lebanon, Palestine, Iran. Oh. I just respect anybody who does something, anything, But what's happening in Ireland? Ireland's government deploys the army to remove protesters' vehicles. So Ireland has been having a mighty strong, impactful protest against the higher fuel prices. This people walk along motorway towards Dublin Airport. So the blockades, they're blocking ports. People have been, seen walking with their luggage, as you can see, to the airport. The army has been called in to help remove vehicles blocking roads. Oh, well, the Fighting Irish, man. I just hope, I don't know. I don't know what's going to be happening, but travel in parts of the country has been affected for the third day in a row with slow-moving convoys protesting against high fuel prices caused by the United States and Israeli war against Iran. But governments can help, and they don't seem to be. But I just want to say thank you, Large Man Abroad, for posting a video on this. Sometimes I just really appreciate people who post videos, so I just don't have to do 2 hours of constant talking.
Everyone's hurting. It's across the board. We never thought we'd be in this situation. We thought that we would have a lot more people in aid with us. But we have the support of everyone at the minute.
Protests and disruptions are erupting all over Ireland right now in reaction to the spike in diesel fuel costs. Now it's about $2.18 per liter right now, and if you're in the United States, that is about $9.50 per gallon. Listen, If that happened in the United States, we know that it would impact agriculture, trucking, and the cost of all food at the grocery stores. The thing is, this is affecting everyone's lives in Ireland. And really, the chief complaints that are coming in are that the government of Ireland is not doing enough. Now, this is all rooted back with the shutdown of the Strait of Hormuz due to the United States' war in Iran. And while the people in the United States aren't suffering near as much with a national gas average of about $4, the rest of the world is really feeling the squeeze. And you're starting to see people in Ireland say that they've had enough. They're being charged 50% in taxes at the fuel pump. And although the government has given a 20-cent excise cut to truckers, that simply is not enough. You cannot run a logistics network when half the cost of turning the key goes right into the coffers of the government.
Diesel is crippling us, and we can't afford to keep going, and we're going to go bust. I'm an agricultural contractor running 8 John Deeres, and we actually have 6 of them here today. I had to leave 2 at home doing a few bits, but I'd really rather have the 8 here with the price of fuel to try to get it down.
How long do you plan on staying here for?
Until it's sorted.
We were kind of wondering about the turnout this morning, but massive turnout because people are just struggling so much that they're all coming together. There's even a pep in people's step here today to see everyone coming together, and everyone's willing to stay as long as they can.
Do you think the government will back down?
Well, we're not. So if the government don't back down, we're staying here.
Okay. Do you think you'll continue to have the support of the public?
Yeah, we will, because everyone's hurting.
I really do believe that this is a sign of things to come across the world as you see things begin to get more and more difficult, and scarcity, especially when it comes to fuel and energy, really start to rise. Communities and people will come together because it's an act of survival. There's no reason for these people to back down and go to their jobs when their jobs won't be there within a few weeks. A lot of these businesses are already on edge. This is a crisis really that's been unfolding for years now, especially in agriculture and transportation. The profit margins are incredibly thin, and Irish farmers in particular have really been struggling as their margins have continued to shrink. So when the gas prices, when the cost of diesel goes up considerably, it goes beyond just eating away at the margins of the farmers, agricultural workers, and the truckers. It makes them go into debt. It makes their businesses shut down. It means that there's less crops to be there the next year, and eventually that does lead into a food crisis. So the government does have to do what they can to actually support the people of Ireland. And like I said, this isn't particular to Ireland. You're seeing this in Canada. You're seeing this in Mexico. You're seeing this all over the world right now as the cost of petrol, the cost of diesel rises, and the availability of fuel diminishes.
Now, we all know that this is not happening just, organically, naturally, because, this is just the time we're living. No, it's happening deliberately, and these governments are destroying our lives. That's why it's important for people to do what they can. Now, I'm going to play a little bit of Jay Reid here, whom I recommended, and I still do. Oh, and let me go back and put Large Man Abroad. His link is in the chat, whom I've recommended, and I still do. But the one guy that's coming up now, thank God, I come across a video where, wow, okay, somebody's saying what needs to be said, but for me, oh, thank you, because it actually resonates. Yeah.
Because of, this ceasefire, which is crazy. I like my question. All right. And I was trying to stay calm this whole video, but I got to get to, I have to. How are we allowing this to happen right now? Yeah. Is this even legal? My point is, right? Let any other president in the past do these different things. It blows my mind. This is the frustrating part of when I watch these videos or when I read these different things, because how is this legal? How is this even a thing? Wipe out a civilization? What? You know what? Anyways, here's another perspective on this situation. Let's dive into it.
They can't believe they didn't see this coming. They can't, all right? Because he's saying it in plain language. This morning, from an official communication from the President of the United States, he wrote the following. You ready for it? And I quote, "A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again." That is an official post by the president. A post by the president is also an official White House communication. When the White House communicates, they communicate on behalf of the American government and the American people.
Yes, they do.
Congratulations, America. We're about to kill millions of people.
Post by the president of the United States. The president of the United States of America. Don't let any.
And just because it didn't happen doesn't mean that what he posts and continues to post doesn't have an effect on all of us. It does. And especially when, I played that video of, I think, I don't want to say Palestinian American, but I think he was saying the American people are useless. Okay. Well, we could change that, but it is utterly insane that we're sitting back and doing nothing when things are so, let's just say unprecedented for us.
Anything else fly by. Don't overthink this. Don't downplay it, or he's just talking. He's powerful. He's strong. He's the president of the United States posted that. Not some extremist right or left or conspiracists, any of this. The president of the United States. That's scary. It is. It's scary. There is no other way to look at this. God, I'm just going to let's just watch this one, guys. I can't anymore.
You can say, who's we? I'm telling you right now, when he posts it like that, he's saying it on our behalf. That is how this works. He's been saying this on our behalf all weekend because the president is a madman, and a lot of people want to pretend. They want to pretend that they don't know what's going on. On Saturday, when many of us were picking out cute little outfits for our kids to wear on Easter Sunday, the president wrote, and I quote, "Time is running out, 48 hours before all hell will rain down on them. Glory be to God." Because that is exactly what he's been saying this entire time. And then on Easter Sunday, when we woke up, before we could even have our coffee, the president wrote, and I quote, "You crazy bastards, you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah." These are real things that the president of the United States is saying repeatedly, over and over and over again. And you know what's happening the entire time? Other random is being thrown out as distractions. I'm not even going to mention all of the other different. Yesterday on Monday, the president stood next to the Easter Bunny and talked about troop numbers in front of a field full of children. We're in hell. The president is a madman. The United States government is complicit. There are options to remove this man from power or take away his war powers. He isn't the only person in government, but because everyone in government is a coward who refuses to follow through with impeachment or the 25th Amendment or a war powers resolution or something else, all of them are now complicit.
And frankly, I think that an awful lot, are getting kind of dulled by the energy. And I don't mean it in a new age way, but the energy in our country. So the American people, you never hear from them. Oh, there are a few, doing what they can. But on the whole, and that means a huge majority of Americans, just sit back, don't say anything. And, oh, well, that was pretty bad. But yeah. Or do they even say that? And then you have people in the Congress who think, well, I'm not going to, do anything because the American people don't care. So why should I care? I'll just keep enriching myself as I destroy Americans. But this country has really really scary what's happened here. Really scary.
Every single one. That's how this goes. If you don't stand up now and say what the president is about to do, what he will do, and what he has done is a crime, then you're complicit. I don't want to hear from anybody after this about anything because this man is about to kill millions of people.
Basically what I just said right before this. Shout out to Pearl Mania. I love it, man. Honestly, and I'm gonna end it on this one, guys. Think about this. You can have a difference of opinion of the person who's head in charge, and I don't mind disagreeing, right? That is the thing that I've always stood on. I don't mind disagreeing with the president. I don't mind having a difference of political opinion. I don't.
But we're far beyond that. This is not a difference of political opinion. This is the difference between those who recognize that we've got a guy in the White House, and it doesn't matter taking orders, not whatever, is truly remarkably insane, should be in a psychiatric institution, okay? And while we have Americans who don't seem to be moved by that, and I don't mean, oh, that feels really good, not that moved. What are we doing? It's beyond a difference of opinion. You know, it's become so obvious that he is a psychopath, that he is a malignant narcissist who does not care about killing people, does not care about killing Americans, does not care to, hey, how about do something for the American people? No, he comes out and says, daycare, Medicaid, Medicare, those programs like it are a scam. And still, you know, so nut jobs, right? You criticize a malignant narcissist. Oof. Now he's an overt meaning, oh, you could see what he's doing. Trump goes scorched earth on Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, others, Candace Owens. Doesn't matter if you like them or not. Doesn't matter if you respect them or not. What matters is this is the President of the United States. Dare to say and give a different opinion than he publicly goes out for the jugular. This is what he wrote. Because Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Alex Jones, they've been fighting me for years. Alex Jones, I thought he was supportive, but especially by the fact that they think it is wonderful for Iran, the number one state sponsor of terror. No, we are number one state sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon. But wait, Trump, you obliterated that, last June. Oh, but didn't you do it again? Well, because they have one thing in common: low IQs. This is not the kind of behavior you want in your president. They're stupid people. They know it. Their families know it. And everyone else knows it too. Look at their past. Look at their record. They don't have what it takes, and they never did. They've all been thrown off television, lost their shows. By the way, I don't know about any of the others, but I know that Candace Owens has the number one podcast in the world. Oh, okay. I guess she's stupid. All right, lost their shows and aren't even invited on TV because nobody cares about them. Well, how do you get invited on TV? You have to be in agreement with the official narrative. None of these people are. Of course they're not. Now, I'm not defending them. All I'm saying is it is so flippin' obvious that something is grossly wrong with Trump. And on a daily basis, you know, he gives us an awful lot to criticize. And if you're not, my God, I don't get it. But they're nut jobs, troublemakers. And will say anything necessary for some free and cheap publicity. This is what happens when you even just disagree with a malignant narcissist, their narcissistic rage comes out, and yeah, they want an audience for it. And this also, MAGA influencers are salivating over jailing each other. Hey guys, I thought you were for free speech and all that kind. Nope. The reason conservatives are at each other's throats, they argue, is that they're being paid by foreign sources to essentially bicker. Okay, there's a lot to bicker about, especially when you have an awful lot of these influencers like this shithead who is still supporting an evil buffoon who is so obviously evil, and he supports Donald Trump, Benny Johnson. But if you are criticizing the president, there must be something else that's motivating you, as if he doesn't deserve criticism, which is remarkable. No, you're being paid by foreign sources. Didn't he make millions off of Russia paying him? Wednesday, the right descended into a feeding frenzy over unsubstantiated rumors of a Justice Department investigation into whether certain conservative commentators were being paid by foreign sources. Social media luminaries as grand as cat turd. Oh my God, this country. Huh. Wow. All right. I've seen some of these cat turd tweets, and I'm like, that guy, can't we just put these people in a straitjacket and walk them into the nearest psychiatric institution? Cat Turd himself were thrilled at the idea of seeing fellow influencers arrested for their criticism of Trump. Do it, declared Mr. Turd. Others went even further, calling for banishments. Influencers who take foreign money and don't disclose it should be deported to the country they took the money from. That's from Jack Posibik, a former key booster of a Russian intelligence hack himself. He eagerly welcomed the prospect of the imagined probe. Put them in handcuffs. These are, the mini tyrants, these influencers. They do get paid. We know that. But I'll post the link. You can watch, read the entire article. But everybody is fighting with everybody and getting nowhere, If anybody has respect for Jack, if anybody has respect for Cat Turd or this guy, I don't want to have anything to do with you, because there's something wrong in your brain. And yeah, the moral superiority of the United States, chuck it. Now, I was glad to hear this, and I will play just a few minutes of this video. Very interesting Norman Finkelstein, who it's a lot of good information. He thinks that Trump is too humiliated to attack Iran again. I don't know about that, but I do think that Trump is so just grossly violent and evil that he could do anything at this point. But listen to what Norman Finkelstein has to say, which is, I was very glad to hear somebody of his stature saying this, because I have also been saying it.
So, having said that, I think there are a few important points to make. Number one, I don't believe it's going to happen again. Whatever comes of these negotiations, the war is over. And let me try to explain why. We have now an unusual situation in American history. We have a not a totally, but a largely personalized presidency. Trump is aware of US national interests, and the US has always wanted to rid itself of the Islamic Republic of Iran. That goes back to 1979. That's why the US supported the Iraqis during the war in 1980 to 88. And that's why it imposed from a long time back brutal sanctions on Iran, and so on and so forth. That has been a common theme. There was a certain let up with the JCPOA, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, but it didn't last very long. And when the Biden administration had an opportunity to reverse Trump and go back to the JCPOA, Biden and Blinken, the Secretary of State, opposed it. So, with the exception of a relatively small period of time, it's been a consistent U.S. national interest, as defined by the ruling elites, to rid itself of the Iranian menace. So, when Trump launched the attack on Iran in cahoots or colluding with Israel, he wasn't acting against the U.S. national interest and being manipulated, tricked, duped by Israel. That's so silly. You have to have completely blinded yourself to 30 years of history to forget that ridding the Middle East of Iran has always been defined by ruling elites as a national interest. And I can go through the record, but I won't do so unless you ask me. In fact, if you go back and look at 2003, the attack on Iran, the attack on Iraq, Iraq was supposed to be a stepping stone to Iran. The only difference between the US and Israel at that point was whether Iran would be first, that was Israel's preference, or Iran would be last after Iraq and Syria. That was the US preference. But there was complete agreement that Iran had to go. There was all the same talk about mad mullahs in 2003, all the same talk about regime change. And this was not Israeli orchestrated. This was two very homegrown Americans. It was Donald Rumsfeld, and Dick Cheney. They weren't acting at the behest of Israel. They were acting at the behest of what they understood to be U.S. national interests.
So I will post the link again, and it's always been others will argue, oh, Netanyahu for 30 years has been talking about, taking out Iran. Okay, it's been a common theme, and I argue that actually the United States interest, it's been much longer than 30 years. Putting the Shah in power. So, yeah. And, people hear an awful lot of people talking about it's Israel first, and they get caught up in this. Okay. But could it be that when we hear all of the talk about Israel, could that be the Jesuit deception that is being played. Now, I'm not arguing in defense of the Israeli government at all. As you know, I don't argue in defense of our government. You can't argue in defense of grossly immoral governments. And that's, the United States and Israel. But I will also say that Israel, well, Biden said decades ago, if Israel didn't exist, we would have had to create it. As if, people don't even think, without Israel, I've seen people post, these tweets that say, without Israel, the world would be at peace. Oh, really? Was the world at peace with the United States? Really? You think the Don Roe doctrine that has been, reactivated by Trump, let's take over Latin America, everything that's happened in Venezuela and Cuba, in the Middle East, like we would just be angels? Sorry. No. Attached at the hip. And we have great strategic interests in the Middle East. Why do you think we had all of the bases in the Gulf states? That a lot of those bases have been taken out by Iran. Why? So, was it to protect Israel? No. It was for attacking Iran. And Trump warns China and Russia and North Korea, stop arming Iran or face 50% tariffs on all goods. Everything comes with a threat. Everything this guy does, it comes with a threat. And they're not going to stop. They will not stop. So who gets hurt by these tariffs? The American people. Russia brutally mocks arrogant Trump over Iran defeat and declining mental state. And these are the Russian news publications. They brutally mocked arrogant Trump and even made a veiled swipe at his feverish mental state. The country's media do not agree with the U.S. president's claim of total victory. Nobody does, except Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump. Trump has escaped from the trap of his own making, but only the feverish mind of the American himself can consider this a triumphant victory. Russian media believe there is a mass of political bonuses for Iran. Iran is now establishing itself as the fourth major power in the world. Was this part of the plan? Who the hell knows? But it's now Russia, US, China, and Iran. Russian, all right, so referring to the 10-point ceasefire, Moscow-based daily newspaper wrote, the only thing missing from the list is the demand that the arrogant American leader himself personally come to Tehran, crawl 10 kilometers, periodically kissing the bombed asphalt, and then publicly repent. The United States saw the limit of its capabilities. The U.S. is not omnipotent. Its ability to impose its will in any way is significant but limited. Everyone will draw conclusions from this, both friends and allies and enemies. Absolutely. And that's why you see even Western states walking away from the United States. Iran war marks the end of the unipolar world and a step to a completely different world. After the ceasefire in Iran, oil might remain at the level of $100 a barrel. No, we're not going to see a huge difference in the price of gas. We're just not. Even if this war was completely over, we would. Do you know how many oil fields have been hit? Meanwhile, Trump confirmed that the U.S. military personnel and ammunition remain in position, ready to launch a fresh attack should a ceasefire deal not be reached. And I will post the link to this because Robert Pape, who professor, University of Chicago, he's talking about, the sudden rise of Iran in, the world of geopolitics, and it's truly just a reshaping of the world. The United States loses out. That's it. But President Trump's Truth Social post tonight makes it appear that he only agreed to a ceasefire with Iran to reload our ammo in the planes and ships. That's what a whole lot of Iranian officials have been saying. We agreed to a ceasefire, and it'll be, the United States that will be, reloading for the next round. So what did he write? All U.S. ships, aircraft, military personnel with additional ammunition, weaponry, and anything else that is appropriate and necessary for the lethal prosecution and destruction of an already substantially degraded enemy. How can anybody let him say these things when the world knows we lost, Iran won? They're not degraded. Okay. Will remain in place and around Iran until such time as the real agreement reached is fully complied with. If for any reason it is not, which is highly unlikely, then the shooting starts bigger and better and stronger than anyone has ever seen before. How many times has he said this? It was agreed a long time ago, and despite all of the fake rhetoric to the contrary, no nuclear weapons, which they don't have. You obliterated them last year. You obliterated them again this year. Yeah, no nuclear weapons, and the Strait of Hormuz will be open and safe. Well, it is open. They've allowed countries to go on through, but not the United States, not Israel, and not those allies who were supporting the United States and Israel. In the meantime, our great military is loading up and resting, looking forward, actually, to its next conquest. America's back. This is what he does when you're supposed to be ready to negotiate peace? Really? This is what you write? And in Lebanon, it's another Gaza. At least 1,530 people have been killed, 4,812 injured in Israeli attacks on Lebanon. The toll includes 130 children, while medical workers, some journalists, an Al Jazeera journalist, I think just yesterday, got killed. Do you know how many journalists in Gaza? Oh my God, I can't remember. 250 dead? War crime? Yeah, absolutely. And Iran to boycott Islamabad in Pakistan. Talks with U.S. if Israeli strikes on Lebanon persist. Netanyahu came out and said, we are not going to stop, fighting in Lebanon. Why? Because they have to fight the Lebanese for their own security. So tired of the bullshit. I am really tired of the bullshit. But it just continues and continues. And it's only the Americans and the Israelis that can stop the bullshit. 250 dead in their bombing massacre that took place, 2 days ago? 1,600 injured, 250 dead in a residential area. And what did they say? Well, they're only targeting Hezbollah. No, you're targeting residential apartment buildings. But we listened to that in Gaza. We listen to now the same in Lebanon. But the killing is still going on in Gaza. And wow, Pakistan Defense Minister says Israel needs to be muzzled at this moment. The position Pakistan has attained will be put to use to address Israel's aggression. And the link is in the chat. But also went on here, say Israel is evil and a curse for humanity. While peace talks are underway in Islamabad, genocide is being committed in Lebanon. Innocent citizens are being killed by Israel. First Gaza, then Iran, now Lebanon. Bloodletting continues unabated. I hope and pray who created this cancerous state on Palestinian land to get rid of European Jews and burn in hell. Whoa. Okay. For a a defense minister to say this is pretty intense. But to say this now means that a whole lot of leaders, this defense minister in Pakistan, they have the Iran war opened the door for a whole lot of people to start speaking out about Israel. The hard part is they should have been speaking out the latter end of 2023 through 2024 through 2025 with everything that was happening in Gaza. But look at this. This is what Israel is doing to Lebanon now.
That was footage from inside a restaurant on the Corniche Al Masra in Lebanon's capital, Beirut, on Wednesday, as ordinary people going about their business suddenly found themselves in a man-made apocalypse. And it took just 10 minutes for Israel to carry out the biggest atrocity that Lebanon has seen in almost 40 years. In just a little over 600 seconds, Israel struck more than 100 sites across Lebanon on Wednesday, raining 1,000-pound bombs down on a densely populated residential area in Beirut in southern Lebanon. The result was carnage, with over 300 people killed and wounding well over 1,000 people. Residents as well as Lebanese officials have said that the majority of those killed and injured were civilians, including children and the elderly. The country's Prime Minister, Nawaf Salam, posted this: "While we welcomed the agreement between Iran and the United States of America and intensified our efforts to reach an agreement for the ceasefire in Lebanon, Israel continues to expand its aggressions that have targeted densely populated residential neighborhoods, claiming the lives of unarmed civilians in various parts of Lebanon, particularly in the capital Beirut, heedless of all regional and international efforts to stop the war, not to mention its utter disregard for the principles of international law and international humanitarian law, which is never respected in the first place. And all friends of Lebanon are called upon to help us stop these aggressions by all available means." Sky News' Alex Crawford spoke to first responders on the scene in Beirut on Thursday.
What did you notice as soon as you arrived here?
It was a devil. It was a devil. People is burning as real.
What you saw as you arrived, which sounded like a scene no one would want to see.
I was realizing I arrived to Gaza or to Beirut. in the same point. It was the same as Gaza disaster. As you put a piece of burger on a grill, people was grilled. Really, as I tell you, it's not like you see.
And a whole lot of people are saying that this is Gaza again, right? Negotiations make no sense after ceasefire violations. So we say that Lebanon was not included. No, it was absolutely. U.S. formally accepted Iran's 10-point proposal as the foundation for a ceasefire, conceding to every core demand, but put forward by the Islamic Republic. However, while one of the points of the proposal is cessation of attacks on all fronts, including in Lebanon, Israel carried out devastating attacks on Lebanon. From the very beginning, we have been following the current process with distrust, and as expected, the United States of America has once again violated its commitments before the negotiations even began. As the President of the United States has clearly stated, the Islamic Republic of Iran's 10-point plan is the basis and framework for these talks, but their failure to adhere to the first point, ceasefire in Lebanon, why even negotiate? UK urges inclusion of Lebanon in Iran and US ceasefire agreement. Vance warns Iranians ahead of Pakistan talks. US has all the cards. We want the nuclear fuel. The arrogance just becomes more and more vile and loud when the empire is crumbling. Iran has all the cards. And again, this I will post if anybody's interested. In Middle East Eye, they're live on these wars that are taking place. Israeli cabinet secretary approves record number of new West Bank settlements. Oh, so they're still killing Palestinians in Gaza, and the settlers are just, well, when you see these videos, they're like, are they rabid? That's what they're just going after these Palestinians, throwing them out of their homes, destroying their farms, destroying their livestock, destroying them, beating them up. And of course, the IDF and the police allow it. How are we remaining quiet? I have a whole lot of Americans there. Whole lot. World Health Organization warns hospitals in Lebanon may run out of supplies. Lebanon is an inseparable part of the ceasefire. And Trump still asking NATO to get in there and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. military bases in Gulf useless. Oh, God. Well, I guess this is just what we do. And by the way, to listen to something, from the leader of Lebanon, who really hasn't done anything, the Lebanese army is just, well, we're not going to do anything. Hezbollah can fight Israel. Because Hezbollah, yeah, it's a terrorist organization. Hezbollah is the just like Hamas is the only, fighting faction against Israel's expansion, not the Lebanese army. And the death toll from Wednesday's, it's not 250, it's 303. Netanyahu, Israel wants to start peace talks with Lebanon as soon as possible. Really? Netanyahu? I don't think so. NATO countries are doing everything that Trump is asking? Really? I don't think so. And, well, let's listen to Mark Rutte, the head of NATO, who, again, well, I'm not going to answer that question. I just don't want to answer the question. Where is it? Oh, I thought for sure I had it open. I thought for sure. He was asked on a news show, about how he felt about Trump's "we're going to annihilate a civilization," and he just skimmed over. I'm not really going to answer that question. Well, how about Iranian Jews, right? So we bomb a synagogue in Tehran. The Iranian Jews have come out and said, we are ready to sacrifice our lives for our homeland, Iran. But then you hear, like people like Franklin Graham, who actually came out and said Iran wants to kill all Jews. Well, there's a lot of Jews who live in Iran. Why isn't Iran killing them? And listen to this. It is such a disgrace. Well, I'll post the link to this. Army survivors of deadly attack, where the 6 died in Kuwait, dispute what the Pentagon and Pete Hegseth said. They said that they were kind of stuck in a unfortified bunker. And if you read this article, you'll read that, look, no matter what war it is, we hear about soldiers not given the equipment that they need. Members of this unit that got attacked. And I can't, the artificial intelligence must be writing these articles. The members CBS News spoke to disputed, sorry, the description of events from Defense Secretary Hegseth, who described also the drone as a squirter, but it wasn't a squirter. And they talk about how they couldn't get any answers as to why they were in this bunker that was not fortified for, the bombs that were going to be dropping. But listen to Trump.
I decided to go to Iraq, and I flew to Iraq. I was extremely brave. In fact, so brave I wanted to give myself the Congressional Medal of Honor.
All right. I wish that I could make this louder.
I decided to go to Iraq, and I flew to Iraq. I was extremely brave.
I decided to go to Iraq, I flew to Iraq. I was extremely brave. Draft dodger Trump.
In fact, so brave I wanted to give myself the Congressional Medal of Honor.
He wanted to give himself the Congressional Medal of Honor.
I said to my people, am I allowed to give myself the Congressional Medal of Honor? And, you know, I've given out so many to guys that are seriously brave. I mean, they come in with the arms are missing, the legs are missing. The stories are so unbelievable. And I said, no, it's a little stretch if I gave myself one. But
everything is about him. Everything is about him. No matter what he is talking about, it's got to be about him. Max, you have to write that over and over and over again. Jesus, man.
Someday I'm going to try. I'm going to test the law. Brandon, I'm going to say, let's give it a shot. Maybe I'll win in court after everyone sues me. If the radical left lunatics sue me. Now watch. The fake news, you know I'm having fun. The fake news will say, Donald Trump wants to give himself the Congressional Medal of Honor. But he was rebuffed by the audience, who stood up and booed the hell out of him. No, they say that kind of stuff. It's
Sky News dismantles Trump's fake victory lap. I'll post the link if you want to listen to it. But just like in all, religions and races and peoples and nationalities and ethnicities, you have the good and you have the bad. You have the greedy and you have, the selfless. You've got the self-centered and you've got those people who actually help people. So, Max, I've seen this comment of yours over and over. Where is the 2 Jewish contractors I dealt with? I had to sue the assholes to get them to pay my invoices. Just saying, you have to write that over and over and over again. You think that there's not Christians out there that screw people? And others that screw people? How about this fabulous Christian?
As to the Strait of Hormuz, right now they're charging ships, the IRGC, the Iranians, to go through the straits, and they're taking the yuan, not the dollar. One threat of this whole debacle is if we start allowing the Chinese currency to be traded in oil, that will hurt the dollar. In 1974, every barrel of oil sold and traded in the world is traded in dollars. Now, what are the Iranians trying to do? They're trying to change the currency from a dollar to a Chinese yuan, and that's an attack on the dollar. And that needs to end too. So I'm very optimistic.
Oh, you have to listen to, the fabulous Americans. That has to change. You can't change the petrodollar, to a yuan. Come on, it's got to change. And listen to this guy who's like, what?
Today, Brazil, in our hemisphere, largest country in the Western Hemisphere south of us, cut a trade deal with China. They're going to, from now on, do trade in their own currencies, get right around the dollar.
Oh my God.
They're creating a secondary economy in the world, totally independent of the United States. We won't have to talk about sanctions in 5 years because there'll be so many countries transacting in currencies other than the dollar that we won't have the ability to sanction them. Today, Brazil.
Don't you think that that's the point, Rubio? Was that not figured in the wargaming? The Strait of Hormuz? Did you just forget about that? Now, we're going to have, when that petrodollar continues, to fade out, Americans are really going to have a problem. Big problem. Well, It's unfortunate that the people have to suffer for these fabulous people, what they do. But there's going to be a lot more suffering in this country. Oh, I think this is the Mark Rutte interview. Yeah.
When President Trump threatened to kill the entire Iranian civilization,
yeah,
did that bother you at all as a diplomat?
Well, you know, what I always say when it comes to what leaders are saying, I'm not commenting on everything. What I want you to know is that I support the president, and I know large parts of Europe do, when it comes to taking out the capacity of Iran to export chaos to the region, to Europe, to the whole world.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Iran exporting chaos to the region and the world? It's Iran? All right. Take out all of these people. Just take them out. They're so their display of how grossly immoral they are, their hypocrisy, their double standards. We don't need this anymore at all. We don't need it. I'm so done. And unfortunately, yeah, a lot of European countries right on board. It's got to stop. But it won't. Right? It won't. I hate it. Oh boy, this is not looking good here for Kansas, Nebraska. Look at the frequencies hitting it. Look at the frequencies hitting this. So what are we going to be looking at tomorrow? More destruction? Somebody's going to get it. That's for sure. Kansas. Let's see. Yep. California, Kansas, and Nebraska. California. Little blips of thunderstorms, but wow. Hitting hard. All right, so I will put the alert link in, and Kansas, especially Nebraska. If you're in those states, you might want to take a look at the counties that are ready. They are ready to get hit. All right, guys. Really hope that you all stay safe. Really, you know, I so don't want anybody to have to suffer the consequences of this enormous evil that is taking place. And but yeah, community is where it's at. That's it. Community. So help those in need. As best you can, especially the animal shelters and food banks and your neighbors, and do what you can. All right. Thank you for showing up. I'm going to Never Lose Truth. This is Never Lose Truth 5. Tomorrow, Never Lose Truth. But if I can't post on Never Lose Truth, then I'll post here. All right, guys. Again, hope to see you tomorrow. Good night, good luck, and ciao.